Hi, welcome to Life Coaching on the Move. I'm your host, Dawn Fiske. Welcome along. If you are new to this podcast, I'm thrilled that you found it. I'm delighted that you've joined us. This is me. There is no script. I just speak as I think, really. So it isn't perfect. It's not polished. It's not edited. This is just raw life coaching tips for you to use in your life in order to gain confidence, to get out of your comfort zones, to push yourself, to believe in yourself, to increase your self-esteem. If you are a regular listener, then thank you so much, as always, for coming back. Today, it's slightly different. Today, it's highly exciting. It's my first ever guest. I have got a former client, now friend, now business associate, on the podcast. Her name is Claudia. She's going to tell her story about how she pushed herself, how she bounced back, how she coped, how she overcame self-doubt, how she excelled, how she overcame fear, all sorts of things. And I hope you find it inspirational. I certainly did. And she's a lovely person to listen to, with a very, very gentle nature. So I really, really hope that it speaks to you. If it does, and if as a result you're interested in confidence coaching one-to-one or confidence workshop, I have actually, on the day that this goes out, the following day start a 7-week confidence and life skills program. So if you want to be lastminute.com and sign up for that quite quickly, you would need to make a decision straight away, because it starts on Tuesday the 23rd of June for 7 weeks. It's 1 hour for 7 Tuesdays on the trot, at 7:30 in the evening via Zoom, a small group of people, group coaching on confidence. No more than 8 people, probably less actually, because it's quite intimate and you get lots of tailored coaching content that way. It's much more feasible financially, because we can widen and spread the cost for you guys. So it's a good financial option, or you can contact me for one-to-one coaching if there's something specific that you would rather focus on with just you. Again, face-to-face now. I work outside on the patio area, or if you're local, or via Zoom. But that starts on June the 23rd, that program. It is at 7:30 in the evening, British summer time or GMT time. So you may need to work it out if you're in a different country. So the way to sign up for that is dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk. Drop me an email or visit the website www.milestone-coaching.co.uk and go on, click on the workshops tab, or click on the Contact Me tab. But this goes out on Monday the 22nd, and the course starts on Tuesday the 23rd. So you don't have that much time to think about it. But maybe it's one of those things that you just need to do it and be spontaneous and not look back, which actually is the theme of today's podcast. So no more chat. Let's crack on with this podcast. There will be a slight hesitation and then we'll launch straight into it. Hi, Claudia. Welcome to Life Coaching on the Move podcast. You are my first ever guest. This is so exciting.
Hi, Dawn. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very excited too.
Well, Claudia, we go back a little way, don't we? Why don't we just tell the listeners how we met? It was a couple of years ago now, wasn't it? And you actually came
correct.
to one of my confidence workshops. So I didn't know you, and you arrived at the confidence workshop. Tell us a little bit about why you came to that and what you were hoping for from it.
Yes, absolutely. So as you can gather, well, you know me already, but the listeners, they can gather from my accent. I'm not English, I'm Italian, specifically from Sicily, which is the south of Italy. And in Sicily, let's say the mentality is very closed. Usually if you're a woman, you're supposed to leave your parents' house only after you get married. So you go from your parents' house to your husband's house. And your job is to be a housewife. So you raise the children and look after the house. And usually you're not asked to go and work, because if you do go to work, it's like a defeat for the husband, which means your husband is not earning enough money to provide a living for the supporting the family. And this
Right.
goes from generation to generation. In fact, my mom, my aunties, cousins, even my sister, she's only 3 years older than me. She's a housewife.
Wow.
But I always been different. For me, like being independent has been always very key. And that's why I spent most of my childhood studying hard at school, because I knew I wanted to work, I wanted to earn money and be independent. So I've always been like the black sheep of the family. Until I graduated, I'm the only person that's got a degree, university degree in my family from my father's side. And so I graduated, started looking for a job. In Italy, it's very difficult to find a job, especially in the south of Italy, unless you know somebody that works in a company that can recommend you. So if you don't know anyone in that company where you send your application to, you have pretty much zero chances to be even considered for an interview.
Right.
So it was really stressful. But one day, a friend of mine, and I want to clarify, a Sicilian guy, not a girl, who was working here in the UK in a call center, called me and said, we're looking for agent to come here and live in UK and work in UK that could speak Italian, English, and French. Would you be interested? And I had no job. I was looking for a job with a degree. Nothing was coming up. So I said, yes, absolutely. That's my chance to come and live in England, improve my English, and just taste the water and see if I like it.
Wow.
So
How old were you then?
I was 23.
23. And you came here by
23.
yourself?
All by myself. And I still remember the day when I was at the airport waving goodbye to my parents. I was physically sick.
Really?
It's the stress. Yeah, I remember I was sick at the airport. I was so nervous, leaving my parents for the first time ever for a very long time. I mean, it was just a 6 months contract, but it was very long for me. And I went away on holiday just for a week, a couple of weeks, but it was just a holiday. This wasn't a holiday. This was a life change. I was going to go and live in a foreign country where I didn't know really much anyone, and I was going to work. So I came to England. I landed at Stansted Airport, and when I went to buy my train ticket, my final destination was Farnborough. I realized that my English wasn't good enough. I struggled to buy my own train ticket, and I said, I'm going to be in trouble here, big time, because my job is purely call center based, which means I'm going to spend 7-8 hours a day picking up phone calls and providing customer support in Italian, English, and French in IT technical things I don't even understand in my own language. So that was going to be, tough. And yes, it was tough. I probably spent the first 3 months of my life here in the UK pretty much not understanding anything. They couldn't understand me. I thought my English was good. For the Italian standard, it was very good, not for the English standard. It was a big struggle. I was away from home, in a place where I knew no one. I was living in a shared accommodation with other colleagues. There were 4 boys and myself.
Yeah.
Everybody coming from different parts of Europe, so no one speaking my language. It was really tough. And honestly, I was talking to my mom every day on the phone, and I was crying. I didn't want to tell her I was crying, but I was crying inside. And I didn't have a choice. I could have just give up and go back home. But I said, you know what? I need to prove everybody wrong. I'm a girl. Yes, I am a girl. I'm a Sicilian girl. I can look after myself. I'm independent. I'm not going back home. I'm going to stay here until the end of my contract. And yes, that's what I'm going to do. And I did. I stayed until the end of my contract. After that, they offered me another job within the company in the web team. That's where I find my love for web design. And from there, I moved then into marketing. Then I moved to another company. So my career progression went further and further. And my English and my confidence was growing, which was fantastic. Then I got a job in a place for 10 years. And that's what happened. After 10 years of doing my job great, not getting noticed, because every time somebody was asking me, would you like to give a presentation about the project you're working on? I would say, no, sorry, I can't do that. I would rather die than standing up in front of my own team and present. And somebody else would get the chance to do it in my place, and they would get noticed, and they would get the promotion.
Yeah.
So for me, I missed so many opportunities. So I stayed in that big company for 10 years, and then the redundancy came. And all of a sudden, I found myself, right, now I need to find a job, go through a series of, many interviews. When you go for a job, you don't just get a first job, you go for interview.
Mm.
And the confidence level, it was really, really low. Plus, doubting my English. I was here for a long time, yes, but still doubting my accent being too strong. The stress of having to prove myself and applying for jobs, getting rejections. And one Sunday afternoon, I was feeling very lonely and sad. I was browsing the web, and I found a workshop about confidence. So I signed up to it, and that's where I met you, Dawn. So that was, yes, around 2 years ago. And that's where my new life started. Yes.
Well, God, but the thing is, though, I mean, when you and I met, you were full of self-doubt. That was the thing I came across in the workshop, that you doubted your ability, you doubted your confidence. But you had this hunger. I could see that you were, you were expressing goals. You had dreams, you had hopes. You knew what you wanted to achieve. But there was this voice in your head sort of holding you back. And yet, what you've just said about the 10 years prior to that is so courageous. That's what stands out for me, the courage that must have taken as a young, early 20s woman coming to a foreign country by herself, a young woman, without the language or anything. That took such courage. How did you do that? How did you not bail and go back home when you were homesick?
Honestly, I was, when you're the prisoners, they go like these signs on the wall just to say one day less. I was doing the same every day. Was like, what? One day less.
So
you were my contract, and then I was counting down to go back home. I couldn't wait.
Really?
But I was waiting. Yeah, I was ready to stay until the end of it. I could not go home earlier because of pride. That was something that had kept me staying. Pride. I said, I'm gonna prove everybody that I can make it. Yeah. And I did, and I'm very proud of myself. And when I look back, I feel like, how did I do that? Honestly, but that for me, that shaped me as the person I am today, which is. Yeah.
Well, strong, I would say. And I often say, and I've said it on this podcast before, but difficulties and challenges and obstacles that come our way in life, the real tough times, the real low times that we have, is often the time that we discover the most about ourselves. It's often when we discover what our real strengths are. And it sounds like in that really, really lonely, difficult, challenging time, you found that your strength, well, one of your strengths was sticking power. You stuck to it. You decided, I'm going to give it 6 months. I'm seeing this to the end. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. Those were your words. And that must have really shown you what you were made of, because it would have been so easy just to get on a plane and go back home. You knew what you would go home to. You'd be going back to the bosom of your family, the safety, the security, the love. That would have been so easy.
Back to my comfort zone.
Yes.
And I realized the comfort zone is a killer.
Yes.
You don't go anywhere. If you stay in your comfort zone, you don't grow.
I love that. You're talking my language now. Despite your accent, we are definitely the same beliefs here, because you are right. And I've said this before, that comfort zone, is it comfortable or is it a bit of a prison? What would have happened if you imagine now that you had gone home after 3 months? Where would you be now, do you reckon?
Yeah. That's funnily enough, I keep thinking about it. If I took the decision to go back home, I probably would still be living with my parents right now.
Really?
Now I am married. I live with my husband. Got a little boy. I
Oh,
started my new business. I consider myself being quite a successful person in my field. If I
definitely.
decided to go back home to Sicily, I would probably still be with my parents, or be married but still struggling to make a living out of
Mm,
it,
mm,
and even struggling to say, should we have a child, because can we afford to have him?
yeah,
So yeah, and now it's like I am in charge, I'm independent. The
yeah,
money I earn, they are my money. I'm not asking anybody for anything.
yes,
I don't need my husband to support me. I want to support myself, and that's always been my belief since I was a little girl. Just
yes,
looking at the women in my family,
yes.
I didn't want to be one of them at all.
Is that what happened? Do you think you did subconsciously, maybe, or without knowing, look at them and think, I don't want that for me? Did part of you know that that was where you were meant to be going and you were kind of breaking away, do you think?
Yes, I guess so. I could see, when you live in a reality and you only see one thing, and
Mm,
it's for you, that's the thing, that's your reality. You see all your mom and aunties, everybody's getting married, having children, not going to work because you don't have to.
yeah,
So for you, that's the normal life.
yes,
But I always wanted to be independent, and I could tell that these women were not independent. They needed to ask the
yes,
husband, "Oh, do you mind? Can I get some money to go and buy this, or to spend the money and buy new shoes for our children?"
yeah,
I didn't want to ask anyone for anything,
yeah.
and that's what's always been important to me. So
And
I
I,
knew that inside me.
yeah, and I suppose the signs were already there because you were the first in your family
Yeah,
to become to go to university and to get an education. So you,
yeah,
before you even took the courageous step of getting on that plane and coming to a different country by yourself, you'd already kind of broken away from that mold, hadn't you, by thinking, I'm going to go and get an education, I'm going to do something different instead of
yes,
their footsteps. Not that there's anything wrong with their footsteps, but you already knew it wasn't for you.
yes, correct. And being seen as a different kind of person in the family. Trust me, that wasn't easy when I took the decision to come to England. I got many bad words, especially from my grandmother. Very old. She's not with us anymore. But Sicilian woman. She's very old mentality. She said so many nasty things on my account just
Yeah,
because I was gonna go away in a foreign country by myself.
I guess she was
So that
frightened of
wasn't
losing
easy
you.
as well. Yeah, it was like, girls don't do these things. You still should stay at home. This kind
Mm,
of,
yeah,
what kind of girl are you going by yourself? It's like no, I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to be here. And the
yeah.
more you things you tell me about, I'm gonna prove you wrong.
I
So
guess
yeah,
that,
that fueled me even more. Yeah, that fueled my ego even more.
so you had all of that resistance. It wasn't an easy path to take because you were hitting all of that resistance as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh. So I've known you since then. I didn't know you at that time, but when I first met you, you were at that crossroads of what did you want to do with your career. And I know that there's another layer to this cake because I know that you were made redundant, and there you were
Hmm.
again at the crossroads of, do I go down the route of applying for jobs and getting another corporate role, a
Yeah.
9 to 5 kind of role, or do I now take another step and risk more things? And that's what I love about you, because you're so willing to take risks that you actually then decided you would try and make your own company, didn't you? Rather than
Yes.
go down the corporate route, you would try and be your own destiny, driver of your own destiny, really. Tell us about that. What did you do there?
Yes, correct. So when I came to see you, I was just being made redundant, and I already found another job somewhere else, but I was very unhappy. It was I didn't want to stay, so I needed to go and find another job, apply again. So the confidence level was really low. Until, yes, after having a chat with you, you made me realize what I really want. And for me, I wanted to be a web designer. I never realized I really want to do that. I'm a very creative person, but also very technical. And you gave me a chance to prove that my skills.
Well, you
And
actually did
that's
my
when
website, didn't you?
I actually did your website.
So if anybody listening has visited my website, Claudia did that website.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. And I love my website. You did an amazing job. But
Thank
I
you.
love the fact that you were prepared to risk everything. As you just said, you had a husband, you had a mortgage or rent, you had a toddler, you had food to put on the table, and yet you took that risk. You were prepared to give it a go.
Yes. Also because, jobs, your redundancy, I've been made redundant 4 times in the last 15 years since I've been in the UK. So having a permanent job is not security at all. You are not in control of your own destiny. It looks like everything is going well. And then all of a sudden you get a communication from your line manager saying, actually, the company is going down. And you're like, what? Where's this coming from?
Yeah.
And then you get made redundant. So there's no security in that anymore. And after the fourth redundancy, I realized that I want to be in charge of my own destiny. And that's when I decided that it was time for me to translate my passion for my hobby for web design into my own business. And that's when I started my web design business last year. And I've never been happier. Honestly, I mean, I am in charge.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I decide now I choose the person that I want to be. I choose how many hours I want to work in a day. I don't need to ask anyone, oh, do you mind if I finish work early today? I don't. I decide. And that's the best thing that could happen to me from an independency point of view. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's also thanks to you, Dawn.
Well,
because you
no.
gave me that strength.
Not at all. You had it there. And the thing that I wanted you to mention next, though, is that you've already touched on it. You really wanted to do some public speaking, but it was your biggest fear, wasn't it?
Correct.
What happened there?
Yes, I remember when we had a couple of chats, I think, after the workshop, after the confidence workshop. And I told you, you know what? I would love to do something that's well beyond my comfort zone, which is public speaking. I am petrified even to say my own name in front of a crowd because I blush, I sweat. I want to dig a hole and hide.
Yeah.
And you said, because you're going from one job to the other, you want to nail your public speaking skills, so you get better chance to get a job. And you mentioned, why don't you just go and attend one of the Toastmasters meetings? And at that point, I had never heard of Toastmasters. So I was intrigued and I Googled it. And Toastmasters International, it's an organization which is worldwide. So there will be clubs all around the world. I live in Basingstoke in Hampshire, and there's a club in Basingstoke. So I Googled the club. Asked them, can I come along to the next meeting? So I went to the meeting, and that's a place. First of all, it's a safe environment for anybody that wants to learn to become a public speaker, or even just a better speaker, communicator, or just to gain confidence. And there you get the chance to practice your speakings, your techniques. You get real feedback. And it's a safe environment. Nobody's there to judge you. They're just there to support you. And we're all on the same boat. So you don't feel like, oh, it's better than me. Yes, it could be better than you, but you learn and they teach you. Nobody's feeling better than you because they want to snob you out.
Yeah.
So so that's what I did. I went to the first meeting. I loved it. I was given a chance to stand up, say my name, and the reason why I was at the meeting that night. When I stood up in front of the crowd and everybody nodding and being so kind, I told them, yeah, I'm here because I want to learn public speaking. All of a sudden, I heard this kind of energy coming towards me, such a positive energy. And I said, I actually love standing up in front of people. I didn't know that. I never realized that. So I fell in love with standing up in front of people. And that was just a matter of 20 seconds. I signed up to become a member straight away. And 7 months later, I was elected the vice president of public relations of my club. And now I've been elected to the president. So I'm going to be president of Basingstoke Speakers Club from
Yay.
1st of July.
That is
And
incredible.
honestly, it is incredible considering it's an English speakers club and
Yeah.
English is not my first language. So being elected the president of an English club, it's an honor, honestly. I am so honored and proud of the achievements. Just looking back when I came to England, I couldn't understand English and they couldn't understand my English. And now, 15 years later, I'm a president of an English speakers club.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's a good end story. I loved it. So thank you for introducing me to Toastmasters International, Dawn.
Well,
Thank you.
no, it's a great organization and I do recommend it to various people. But what stands out for me, though, in all of this, though, is this is the theme of so many of previous episodes. So much of what you said rings true. You were prepared to get out of your comfort zone. You were prepared to feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable. You were prepared to take action. You were prepared to take risk. You didn't give in to just a belief. You had a belief that you hated public speaking. You had a belief that you were terrified, for example, of public speaking. And so many of us have beliefs about ourselves. I'm shy, or I'm a perfectionist, or I'm a control freak, or I hear clients do this all the time. They say, yes, but and then they give me one of their disempowering beliefs about themselves, which they believe is fact, and it's unbending, and that's just who I am, and there we are. And they shrug their shoulders. There's nothing I can do about it. And I always say, yes, there is. It's not a fact, it's a belief, and you can change that at any point. And that's exactly what you've done. You believed you were fearful of presenting, which meant you were fearful of presenting. You did get sweaty, you got blushing, you got all the anxieties that so many of us, me included, I had that when I was young too. So I know that people can overcome this because I did. You have. We're living proofs. But you were prepared to push through that, and you were prepared to not accept it as your reality. I want to overcome this. I want to build my confidence and start to feel comfortable standing up and talking to a couple of people, then a couple more people, then a larger audience. And now you're unstoppable. And now you're talking on a podcast.
And I'm talking on a podcast.
And,
and I feel fine.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed or nervous. I am happy. I can't,
Exactly. And that's
such a transformation.
And I think the theme that runs through your whole story is that you look at the reality of the situation, whether it's being a female in Italy growing up and knowing what that meant at that point, probably almost inevitably for you, unless you were prepared to take a few diversions and take some risks and some action, which you did. You took some big steps, some big risks, and it's that classic book title, isn't it? You felt the fear, but you did it anyway. And that's been the theme of your life, really. You feel the fear and do it anyway. You don't give in to the fear. And I think the difference that makes the difference between a confident person and a not so confident person is that we all feel some fear, but confident people will push through the fear and do it anyway. They won't let the fear hold them back. They'll still take a step or take some action or make a decision and make a choice. Whereas when you really, really, really lack confidence, you'll let that fear stop you. And I think that through coaching, through your own internal dialogue that you had with yourself and the talk, and you persuaded yourself, you pushed yourself, you encouraged yourself, and you learned strategies in that workshop as well. But I think you already had elements of that. I think we just put the icing on the cake in that workshop, really. The fact that you got yourself there in the first place showed me you wanted to address this, you wanted to change this. That's why you signed up for it. You were ready to take some risks and some make some decisions and make some changes and improvements. And it was just the icing on the cake, really. You've got a few strategies and techniques, and you went away and then applied them. You went away and took those risks and took redundancy and set up your business and offered some free services for people to find out what you you were capable of, and then they enlisted your help as a paid web designer, and that's how your business took off. You speculated, and it was worth it. I just think your
definitely.
story is such an inspiration, I hope, for so many of my listeners who are maybe in the balance. Maybe they're weighing up, shall I take a risk, shan't I? Shall I take redundancy, shan't I? Shall I try for that job, or shan't I? And I think you're an inspiration to sort of almost say, yes, do. Go for it.
Absolutely.
What would you say to anybody listening now that they lack a bit of confidence, or lack those decisions, or maybe they're struggling in a way that you were struggling? What advice would you give them, or words of wisdom?
So I was very unhappy when I was working at corporate, and I was doing nothing about it. I was just moaning. So my advice is, if you're unhappy and you know you are unhappy, do something about it. Definitely don't wait for things to happen to you. I waited 10 years before the redundancy came for take action. I was wasted 10 years of my life being miserable. So take action today. Get out of your comfort zone. But most of all, don't let society put a label on you. My label was, you're a woman, Sicilian woman, you have to stay at home. That was the label. I don't let society put a matter if I'm a girl or a boy, if I'm Sicilian, I'm Norwegian, doesn't matter. I am me. I want to be independent. I create my own future. And yes, you may need help, and help is great. And I think with the help of Dawn, I would never discover Toastmasters or even taking the next step. So if you don't know what to do next, ask for help. There will be somebody with more experience to guide you and just make you prove different things until you find what you like. But give yourself a chance. Don't stay unhappy for the rest of your life or make things happen to you like a redundancy. Don't let it happen. Action today. Just do something today. Now, actually. Do it now. That's my advice.
I think that's brilliant advice, Claudia. I really, really do. And it's on the back of the last 2 episodes have been about choices that we make, that confidence is all about. It's about choice, making decisions, taking steps, taking action. And I think your story is just that. It's so symbolic of everything that we've been covering on these podcasts, that it's just taking that first step. Once you've taken the first step, then just one foot in front of the other and keep going. And you've done that so many times. And I'm actually really excited for your future, because I think, oh my God, the amount that you've achieved, and you're still so young, with a young family. I think the world is your oyster, because you've got that mindset.
Yeah.
I just think that mindset is going to get you wherever you want to be.
Yeah, I don't think you can reverse it back.
No.
So once you gain confidence, you grow more confident. I am a completely different person now, completely.
Yeah.
And the way things are happening to me every day on my business, I'm growing every single day. Before I was a dead static. My life wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Every day I'm doing something, a tiny little thing that is getting out of my comfort zone every single day. Even today, this podcast, I feel confident because, I'm a president of a public speaking club, but still it's not something that I do on a daily basis. So it's still out of my comfort zone. So if any of your speakers right now say, oh, I've been invited to a podcast, don't decline it. Go for it. Get yourself out there. Trust me, nobody's going to die.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
say something funny, if my English grammar is not great or my pronunciation is not right, I was worried about it before. Now I don't care. It's me. That's the way I am. Doesn't matter. If I say a word, I misspell a word, is anybody gonna die? No.
Exactly.
So just do it.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone.
You're so right. And actually, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you and me both, this is the first time I've ever had a guest on the podcast. So it is a big learning curve where you and I are both out of our comfort zones today. But the point is, it doesn't have to be perfect. If a little bit of the sound goes, or, we talk over each other at one point because we're a little bit too excited or something like that. It doesn't matter, because if the listeners get one thing from this, it's been worth it. It's the same. And I say this to clients, I have clients that want to go for that job or want to go for that date, but they don't think the other person would be interested, or they want to set up a business, or they want to start a blog, or they want to write a book or something. And I say to them, just start, just do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a perfect blog. Just get the blog going, and you'll learn as you go along, and you will get better and better. I didn't know how to podcast. In fact, it was you that showed me all about the platform and how to do it. You taught me the technology of how to do it, and off I went. But at the time when I first launched, I didn't have loads and loads of topics to talk about in my mind. I didn't have an agenda. I didn't know where it was going to go, what we were going to cover. I just started. I just thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? No one listens to it. It's rubbish. It dies down. Or people do listen to it. It does help them, and word gets out and it expands. What's the worst that can happen? No one's going to get hurt.
No, exactly.
You've just got to have a go. Just get out there, and whatever your thing, whether it's that you want to start running, or you want to do a charity parachute jump or something, just sign up, just do it, just make it happen. It just needs some action. And I think like you say, you can't take away your confidence. Now that you've got that confidence, I believe you're right. Once you've stretched your comfort zone a little bit, like blowing up a brand new balloon, once you've blown it once, it's always stretched. It's always that saggy. You can tell it's not a brand new balloon from a packet, because it's got that saggy sort of stretched look about it, even with no air in it. And that's like our comfort zones. Once we've stretched it, you can't unstretch it. And yes, you might get the odd dent to your confidence. Life might throw you a curveball, and you might take a little dip in confidence. But what you know then is that you can bounce back, because you've bounced back before, because you've overcome challenges before. And all that happens is in a bad patch or a bad time, when an obstacle comes your way, right, come on now, I can get round this, I can get over this, because I coped with X, Y, and Z. I did so and so in my past, I can overcome this. So you kind of bank them like credits, and you draw on them at weak moments in the future when life throws things at you. So there's definitely every need and every reason to get out there and build your strength up, and build your inner belief and your confidence and your esteem, because it carries you wherever you go in the future. It's like a toolkit almost.
Yes, absolutely. You are so wise.
Well, no, I just think what I love about your story is it's just so inspirational for all of us, that we can all learn from what you've been through. And even though you were fearful, even though you were vomiting in the airport before getting on that plane, you still got on that plane. So for any people listening to this who have got to be, I don't know, best man at a wedding and they're terrified, or they've been rehearsing for a show and it's the first night that, once we're out of lockdown or something, and they're really nervous about going on stage, it doesn't matter. Feel the nerves, but still do it. It's all right to be nervous. That's normal. But you can still do it. It doesn't have to hold you back. And I think that scene of you in the airport is so powerful. And yet your whole life came of that fact that you got on that airplane. You wouldn't have your little boy now. You wouldn't have your husband now. You wouldn't have your business now. You wouldn't have your home now if you'd not got on that plane. And another thing that it makes me even more certain about is whenever I say to people, just take that job or just go for it, because even if that job's not right, you don't know what doors it will open. Or try that activity, or sign up for that club if you want to, because you'll meet somebody who will become a friend, and they may open a door for you, or that may open a relationship for you, or it may open an experience or an opportunity for you. And it's almost sort of embracing every opportunity that comes your way, because even if it's just going to somebody's barbecue, you don't know who else might be at that barbecue and what that might bring in your life. And so we've got to get out there. We've got to get away from sitting at home in our comfort zones. We've got to get out there and start living. because we do not know what doors are going to open for us today that will open future doors tomorrow. Even when they don't look like they're opening doors, it's only when we look back that we realize, God, if I hadn't done that, that wouldn't have happened. And if I hadn't done that, that wouldn't have happened. And wow, look at where I am now because of those things. So even when they feel bad or negative, they're often opening other doors. So just keep going, knowing that everything links on to the next thing. And just trust that it's leading you to the next thing, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
You have totally inspired me. Totally. I really, really hope this has been useful to listeners. And what I would say to anybody listening is share your thoughts. If you've listened to Claudia's story and you want to send us an email or a comment, then do. Just email me and I will pass it on to, my email is dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk. You can visit the website either to find me out or to see Claudia's work if you're looking for a website. So the website is www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. And Claudia, do you want to say about how they can contact you if for any reason, whether it's web design or whatever, it may be that someone's listening that desperately wants to start up their own small business and get a website together. So why don't you tell the listeners how or where they can find you?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is pretty difficult to spell it, but I will say it anyway.
I can barely say your surname.
You can. So my email address, my website is www.claudiatinirello.com. I know it's difficult to spell it, but if you go onto Dawn's website,
oh yes,
at the bottom on the footer of the website, you will see a link that will lead me to will lead you to my website.
Yes.
So it's claudiatinirello.com.
Do you want to spell that just in case they've got them?
Yeah.
Some listeners may have a pen ready. They might want it.
Yes, absolutely. So it's www.claudiatinirello.com.
Yeah. So how do I pronounce that again? It's Claudia.
So it's Claudia Tinirello. Correct.
Tinirello. It's so beautiful. I just love it. It's a stunning name. So much more exciting than Fiske. Oh, well, thank you so much for being my first ever guest. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Very
welcome. Great. It's fun.
And all the best with the future. I think you've got a great future ahead of you, but all the best anyway. And lovely to talk to you today. Take care.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.